Like many countries, Ghana has yet to achieve equality. However, many notable strides have been made. The struggles of Ghanaian women are linked and shared from the unlettered and unheard to the relentless advocates. The Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing in 1995 marked a significant turning point for the agenda for gender equality. Women's mobilization started steadily with coalitions such as the Network for Women's Rights, NetRight, a network of civil society organizations and individuals with clear interest in working together to bring gender perspective into national processes and advocate for policy change to strengthen women's human rights. This documentary by NetRight will explore the feminist movement from Ghana's independence to present day. What does feminism entail and how far has it come?
For me, feminism is about promoting women and girls' rights.
Around what some of the issues are with regards to women's economic empowerment, the different structures within Ghana that are enabling or disabling.
Gender-based violence, we talk about financial abuse, we talk about all these things.
We've been socialized a certain way that we think a woman's role is in the house.
In as much as we make a greater percentage of the population, we are sidelined when it comes to certain things like leadership.
How did the movement begin?
During the struggle for independence, we had key women playing key role in the attainment of our independence. So I would say that it started from there.
We actually saw the beginnings of a movement in the year 2000 when, for some reason, a number of women were being killed here in Accra and other parts of the country. The perpetrators were not found. So a group of women's rights organizations, together with individuals, mobilized to have a first sit down in front of the police headquarters in Accra, demanding justice for these women.
What issues did women seek to address?
With the Ghana Poverty Reduction Strategy papers 1 and 2, we organized ourselves as women to look at the policy document and to see the extent to which women's needs and concerns were being taken into account.
One of the first things that the then President Kufuor did was to have a meeting with representatives of the women's groups.
Their efforts yielded landmark results. The Ministry of Women and Children, for example.
We began to see that we needed to work in much more collective ways. And so we came up also with the work around the Women's Manifesto, the Domestic Violence Coalition, and these served as platforms where we could mobilize women at all levels.
The advocates realized the need to mobilize and consolidate individual efforts for impact.
Excitingly, a series of intergenerational discussions that are taking place. And the fact that a lot more organizations are realizing the importance and value of having that.
They also sought international collaboration and started gaining ground. As the movement grew, the next generation of activists started to emerge to demystify the movement.
They took us through advocacy training, and through the training, fear is out of women. The fear was something that you can't even talk with your spouse how much to go out there and lobby for something. So it was a challenge. But after the training that we had from NetRight, we came back, sat together and make our decisions to see what we can do to help ourselves and the community as a whole.
If you see, if let's say we had 100 female ministers, when you're a girl and you're growing up, you wanted to be a minister is highly likely because you can see other women who have done that, as opposed to, the exceptions that we can mention every now and then.
Working with young girls is a great step because you realize that we have a lot of women in higher positions who are well educated, but when it comes to the issue of empowerment, liberation, there's a question mark. So we believe that getting young girls at a very early age and then grooming them to understand what empowerment is, what liberation is, then they grow with it, then they become the kind of women we want to see up there.
Some people are working specifically on economic empowerment because we believe that women must also get their own financial independence, give them some skills that they can use to then earn income.
Different pillars of equality, including economic freedom, became a normal demand.
Multi-tier enterprises, we empower a lot of women, both Upper East, Upper West, Upper North. We use the shea butter to process pomade, hair food, black soap, foot cream. The processors are there and the pickers are there. Now, those who are processing the shea butter, there are 210 women, and those who are picking is 2,990.
JOSO initiative, that is Developing Women for Skills and Opportunity, that started in 2016, but we started the groundwork in 2017, where we go to rural communities and then have discussions with women on labor issues, on domestic violence.
Getting more women into the political space, highlighting the barriers of entry for women. I use social media to highlight those issues.
Teenage pregnancy was on the rise in Central Region, and it was mainly as a cause of rape. So I sought to train girls on how to say no to guys when they propose to them. I sought to also provide certain educational amenities for the students so that it will be as an encouraging tool to help them stay in school. And also the women who were going through all those domestic violence, I also reported some of the cases, and some of them have been cancelled by me.
Young women discovered and pursued their abilities, including social media activism.
We've reached out to thousands of girls, and we have worked around the area of leadership with some of them. We had one of our girls who just handed over at the UDS. She was the first female president, SLC president in the school. We've had others in tertiary institutions who went ahead to contest for SRC positions, especially the president's slot, because there's always the notion that being SRC president, you have to be male. Being a school prefect, you have to be male. But you find most of our girls now going for senior prefect positions in their schools. We have also engaged rural girls too in areas such as reproductive health, and some of them surprisingly didn't know about menstrual health issues, menstrual hygiene. And so we've done a lot of advocacy and work education in that area. And
also, the advent of social media has made activism and advocacy quite appealing.
If I see someone make a derogatory post about women, I wouldn't necessarily comment on that specific post if I find that that place is just full of misogynists. I'll probably take that post and then write about it, use my own page to write on that specific issue and correct whatever, so that I'm not necessarily always responding and reacting so people can come at you.
A teacher made a rape joke on Facebook and we took him on, and he was an ambassador for some of the brands, and he was taken off.
There is someone who went to an office to seek for help, but because she's a woman, she was being stereotyped. Immediately she went on live, and then everybody got on board and then talked about it to raise awareness and make sure the right thing is done.
So we are not just on social media ranting, we are making impact, and we expect to take it further.
Women in periphery cities were not left out.
Silmin paswanda abjane tra burabo no sasa sali to ka tra chen meeting tra to chen la ma sha meeting ni ba ma me ka bo de paluma da shirka ta te chan ta vo se yulle o bolma nta boama no wula ne chan to yuno ben sha ma no boarle me ya boarle mun ye ma to ai bora ti kulinga ne pang ma ka te pildo tuma Nira buhala ka kuna kan yelba to. Tumfo ndaya Sister Sally Bahama. Toru zo. Yongo kumbuyi paba. Ngumbani wan tumlala tumama. Nguyimna.
Around here, 80% of the household is for the woman. If you look at a child this time to be educated very well, it's the woman who is more supportive. All the women that I have, now some of them are building their own houses. Educate their children, university level, tertiary level, all kinds.
Angwana dabama baba kadene. Pabama kabe bezana tirmana. Direbe you know nda karape ogban tlan ntum habiara kolanzo. Debe ngala kamari bambala karamban do bani na karamban ma kamane. Wanto ye no ku chanka patu wo tuma.
Go to the roadside and see. You will not see a woman sitting there playing anything. Only men. The women are busy working, and the men are sitting down playing cards, making other drafts. And the reason is that most of them at the beginning of their life they didn't learn any job. Only the farming. After farming, no work again.
The games were, however, challenged by a lack of representation. The need for affirmative action took on new importance.
It is very relevant for women to be part of decision making. When we are talking about, I'll give an example, when we are talking about menstrual poverty, and we have 16 men out of 3 women in a committee to talk about women and children. Woman to woman, how do you think a final verdict would be made to benefit women in general?
So I don't understand how in a country where 51% of the population is female, when it comes to ministerial appointments, we only find only 20% of them are occupied by females. So there's a clear disparity.
So you have someone like Deda Shekishan, for instance, who pre-finance some of the activities of the struggle for independence. And we have this big sis where no woman is mentioned, but women also played key roles. Some were even imprisoned during that time, but we don't hear about them.
Look at the Committee for Women and Children in Parliament. Majority are men. How then do we discuss issues of women and children to get a better perspective of the whole issue?
I think the dynamics in Parliament are something that we have to fully understand, because you have parliamentarians working along party lines quite a lot, and so that is also an issue.
If we are saying that we don't have the women in Parliament to be appointed as ministers and deputy ministers and what have you, why can't we have parties? Why can't you review your party constitution? Why can't you review your party structures to ensure that there are more women? Why can't you ensure that as a party you tell yourself that when we are presenting candidates to contest for parliamentary seats, at least 30% should be women?
One, I think the information that women have around the affirmative action bill, and not just women in Parliament, women across Ghana, is something that we're trying to beef up. And so that the popular support for the bill, similar to the popular support for, let's say, right to information bill, can be a force that pushes our parliamentarians there.
We've had a series of meetings on the affirmative action bill. How do we getting the government to pass the bill, which has been on the back burner since 2011. It's been a long time ago.
We are looking at different strategies to employ. How do we engage much more, not just the women in Parliament? Because if you're thinking about it, the women in Parliament are a minority. Their numbers are very limited.
So even if there are people that are against you, you should be able to get them to buy into your idea. If they won't buy into it, at least they shouldn't stand against the advocacy.
So by and large, I feel that we are quite satisfied with our contribution. But of course, the work is larger than us. And many of us have done quite a bit, and we feel that the generations to come can find something that they can build on.
The movement continues to organize actions such as education and training of women, health, violence against women, economic empowerment, decision-making, and institutional mechanisms for the advancement of women.